Let's talk about this E. Jean Carroll rape case against Donald Trump, shall we? Now, as you probably know, earlier this month, the left-wing establishment used the Democrat-controlled New York legal system to force 2024 presidential candidate Donald Trump to pay $5 million to a mentally ill old lady who dishonestly claims Donald Trump raped her. Now, even for clown world, this is cuckoo bananas. But how did we get here? Let's take a look. So, a couple weeks ago, former President Donald Trump was found liable in a civil defamation suit brought by feminist author E. Jean Carroll. Now, let's be perfectly clear. The real bad guy in all of this isn't this crazy old lady who is obviously telling stories either as part of some personal political agenda or simply because she feels life's dealt her a rough hand and she deserves a payback. There will always be broken people. And as long as there will be Democrats willing to exploit their misery. Democrats are the real villains in this story. Sadly, the modern Democrat Party playbook is to weaponize victim status, even in cases like this, where they have to first invent victimhood where none exists. It was Democrat prosecutors who brought this case before a Democrat judge so that a Democrat jury could decide Mr. Trump's fate. At the end of it all, when the entire kangaroo court came to a close, a $5 million payout was awarded to this lady. Just to clarify, even this corrupt jury couldn't muster up enough cognitive dissonance to claim Trump raped Miss Carroll. The jury said they did not believe that Donald Trump raped Miss Carroll, but they decided that he defamed her by saying her rape accusation was a lie. Yeah, that's really what happened. And let's talk about this accusation, shall we? E. Jean Carroll is not sure what time it happened. She's not sure what day it happened. She's not sure what month it happened. She is not even sure what year it happened. She simply maintains it happened sometime in the mid-90s. This is worse. This is worse than a star chamber. Someone you don't even know, as was the case with E. Jean Carroll and Donald Trump, accuses you of a crime. You have to defend yourself against the crime, but without knowing when the alleged crime took place. How could anyone defend themselves? How could Donald Trump present an alibi or call witnesses to testify he wasn't there if no one, including the accuser, even knows when it happened? Plus, can we talk? Rape is a serious crime. And if there was any way that Donald Trump did it, or even might have done it, I wouldn't be making this video. So this is not me making light of sexual assault. My heart goes out to anyone that was actually preyed upon, ever. But the flip side of all that is exactly why this false claim is so worthy of being talked about. 30 years ago, in the 1990s, Donald Trump was the most famous person in New York City. He was a billionaire known for dating supermodels. The claim that he would be so captivated by this average at best looking 50-something-year-old stranger that he would follow her into a major department store on Fifth Avenue to rape her, that's beyond credibility. We are supposed to believe that he would stroll around Bergdorf Goodman and no one would notice. No one would notice the two of them shopping for lingerie. No one would notice them going into a dressing room together. Even more sus, that she, E. Jean Carroll, didn't say anything for nearly 3 decades. And then when she did, it coincided with her trying to sell a book about the alleged rendezvous, a book conveniently written after Donald Trump was president. So let's recap, shall we? Unbelievable story from 3 decades ago. No witnesses, unreliable narrator, reported to police 3 decades after it supposedly took place. Decided by a justice system of Democrat Trump haters only allowed to go to trial after the Democrat-run New York State legislature passed a law to allow the statute of limitations to be ignored so that the Manhattan DA could then go forward with the case. We are in clown world, folks. This is worse than a third world country. Has Donald Trump ever been oafish or said sexist comments? Of course. For example, we know he once said if someone is rich and famous, then women will allow such a person to grab them by the pussy.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
But let's not equate someone who says the word pussy with a rapist. So in response to the verdict, here's what Trump's campaign said in a statement. The Democratic Party's never-ending witch hunt of President Trump hit a new low today. In jurisdictions wholly controlled by the Democratic Party, our nation's justice system is now compromised by extremist left-wing politics. We have allowed false and totally made-up claims from troubled individuals to interfere with our elections, doing great damage. Or even better, here's how Donald Trump described the situation in the recent CNN town hall.
This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door, so she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I
think of it.
I know you're recounting what she said, but Mr. President.
But let me just, if I could, because you asked the question.
This was a
just
jury,
so you understand,
though.
if I was walking in at the bar, because I was very famous then, and I owned the Plaza Hotel right next door, and I owned buildings around it, I'm not going into a dressing room of a crowded department store. Then I say, if she was being raped, and by the way, they said she wasn't raped. Okay, that was her charge. She wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
What? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her, and
They did
I
not
didn't
say
do
that you
anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman
can I
is.
ask you, given your recounting
I
your
don't know
version?
who, and I tell you this.
But Mr.
Are
President,
you ready?
can I
swear
ask
on
you
my
because-
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story.
Moving on past the cuckoo bananas accusations at E. Jean Carroll, you want to hear a credible rape accusation? Check this out.
And then I saw him at a distance. He was talking to someone, and they walked away the other direction. And then he greeted me. He remembered my name. And then I said, here you go, Senator. I handed him the bag. And it happened very quickly. I remember being pushed up against the wall and thinking the first thought I had was, where's the bag? Which is an absurd thought, but that's what I thought was, where's the bag? Yeah, because I was handing it to him. And he had his hands underneath my clothes. And it happened all at once. So he had one hand underneath my shirt, and the other hand, I had a skirt on, and he went down my skirt and then went up. And I remember I was up almost on my tippy toes. And when he went inside the skirt, he was talking to me at the same time, and he was leaning into me, and I pulled this way away from his head, I remember. And so he was kissing my neck area, and he whispered, did I want to go somewhere else, in a low voice. He said some other things. I can't remember everything he said. But he said something vulgar. And
may I ask what?
He said, I want to f*** you. And he said it low, and I was pushing away. And I remember my knee hurting because our knees, he had opened my legs with his knee, and our knees caps clashed. So I felt like this sharp pain. His fingers were inside of my private area, my vagina, and it wasn't, there was no small talk, there was no precept, it was just sudden, and it was happening like that. And he was saying those things to me, and I was pulling away. And then he pulled back immediately when he could see I wasn't complying. I was obviously just tensed up and frozen and not kissing him back and not going with him. And he pulled back and he looked at me and he said, come on, man, I heard you liked me. And when he said that, It was either I heard or I thought, but I remember hearing heard. When he said that, I immediately started thinking what I did, like how I brought this on. Like, did I say something to somebody? Did I give an impression? My mind was racing. And in that moment, I knew this was really bad. I knew it was more than just like the assault. It was really bad. He was then angry, right? And I could feel, it wasn't like yelling angry, but like that hostility build. And he pulled back and he was just looking at me directly. And he pointed his finger at me and he said, "You're nothing to me. You're nothing." And I think that's the hardest thing. And I know people talk about the assault, but those words stayed with me my whole life.
That was Tara Reid talking about the time Joe Biden raped her. She reported it at the time. No action was taken. No statute of limitations was extended so she could take Joe Biden to court. No DA took her case. No judge presided over her case. No jury was allowed to hear her claims. Democrats live by different rules. They are never held accountable. It's not just Tara Reid. Ted Kennedy killed a woman, Mary Jo Kopechne. No penalty. Bill Clinton raped a woman, Juanita Broaddrick. No penalty. Although, in all fairness, there is one Democrat president no woman is ever accused of showing too much sexual interest in her. Barack Obama. I wonder why. But I digress. The point I'm really trying to make is if the Democrats are going to sink this low and do things like weaponizing the justice system and also arresting their political opposition, then maybe it's time to play their game too. The Dems are going to try to destroy America, then those of us who love the country should at least go down swinging. Republican elected officials, I'm talking to you. Why do you sit on your hands, play by the Marcus of Queensberry rules, allow them to destroy democracy, erode our rights, rig our elections, arrest our leaders for the crime of putting America first? Being a conservative can no longer be simply about high-minded ideals without action. We no longer have the luxury of being effete, New York Times approved, establishment academic conservatives like David Brooks, Bret Stephens, or David French. We can no longer align ourselves with those reasonable Republicans speaking from their ivory towers about how we have the better ideas, all while they, the dirty Democrats, run circles around us. This is no way to run a political party. We need to start winning. It's time to do something. Locking up their crooks for a change would be a good start. We can begin with the known criminals. Arrest Hunter Biden, arrest Joe Biden, arrest AOC, arrest Al Sharpton, arrest Adam Schiff, arrest Hillary and Bill, and of course, let's not forget crazy Nancy Pelosi. That would be a good start. And hey, let's not stop there. As the Durham report has shown, Obama, Hillary, the FBI, and intelligence agencies spied and colluded against Donald Trump. They spent millions on the Mueller investigation. Then, 2 failed Pelosi impeachments, a January 6th witch hunt committee, and now Joe Biden's Justice Department is involved in sending SWAT teams to raid Mar-a-Lago to retrieve pieces of paper. Oh yeah, and they probably rigged the election. Our government did this, all while ignoring hundreds, perhaps thousands, of crimes committed by the Biden crime family. So yeah, if they're going to arrest 100% innocent patriots like Donald Trump, then hell with it. Let's consider going after every powerful Democrat. We didn't start this, but if our inaction will result in the destruction of America, then I say lock them up. Or hey, some of you don't want to go that far, that's cool. There's still plenty of other real actions to take. Seal our borders, and while we're at it, deport anyone here illegally. Pass constitutional carry. Defend free speech. For a change. Maybe get creepy groomers out of the schools and reform education. And while you're at it, do something to restore faith in our elections. A party that will do that is a Republican Party that would make Abe Lincoln proud. It's time to fight back, and it's time to make America great again.